It is like so bad and so heartbreaking and such a mess. And like, I don't know how things will ever get solved there. Well, I know what's needed to be done to solve things there, which is like a little bit of justice since 1948. Yeah. In the real absence of it. But it's like, and it is so awful what that world has looked like since October 7th. It is just heartbreaking. And yeah, it's like the most vicious tribalism on earth right now, where the children, the babies of thems, don't count when you kill them.
Hmm. Yeah. So yeah, well, at least there is hope from what you just said, in the sense that we are, as humans, we are at least through a generation or two, there is hope for things to change. But hopefully, the right people there will do the right things to implement this change.
Well, I'm not very hopeful today, especially with the person who's deciding how many bombs to drop on which hospital or which refugee camp in South Gaza. It's horrifying. I mean, amid that, another theme of tribalism and people in power. One of the things to do to remain in power is convince the people that actually that other group they hate. And that other group hates you, and they're way too busy hating each other to notice who's the real evil in there. And my personal view is it's a classic example of this with the founding of Israel. Israel was like the last great crime of European colonialism. Like, Christian Europe is totally awful to Jews for 2,000 years, and unbelievable mistreatment and massacres and all of that. And then it gets the worst one of all time. It's Hitler. And finally, after 2,000 years, like, white Christian Europe decides this is kind of too bad that we've been so mean to those Jews all along. It's time we do something nice for them. I know, let's give them the Palestinian homeland. Like, you know, it's a colonial mindset. It's an imperial mindset. It's England sitting there and deciding this is a good idea and all of that. And what do? You dump a whole lot of survivors from Hitler into there, and they're surrounded 10 to 1 by people who hate them. And you're Palestinian there, and your home was just stolen from you, and you hate them. And nobody's going to sit there and hate the British. And they've now had 70 years of turning their children and their grandchildren into vicious animals who kill without feeling anything. And it's like, yeah, it's the goddamn British Empire that set this thing up. And I spent years ago, I spent time in Uganda after a particular dictator there, Idi Amin, was overthrown about a week after that. And he was not from a tribe. He was like an unbelievable dictator. And he was from a tribe that was not originally Ugandan. They were Sudanese. When the British crushed the Sudanese uprisings back when, and they decided, we're in the neighborhood, why don't we take over Uganda also and colonize them? And they said, well, these Sudanese are good fighters, and they gave us a hard time, so why don't we take the ones who we think are now good guys, and let's bring them south with us and bring them in as sort of the police and military culture in Uganda. And then, 60 years later, it's another tribe. Yeah, people who want to get away with all sorts of awful stuff, the way you do it is you get the peoples you were being awful to deciding it's each other's faults. And the Middle East is a 70-year experience in that. And
if you enjoyed this clip, please consider subscribing to the channel and hit the like button, as this would help this content be visible to the YouTube algorithm. You can watch the full interview here. To support the channel, you can join us on Patreon, which for now supports both my Arabic and my English channels. See you soon.